All right, in this set of notes, this is our last lesson. We'll be looking at writing inequalities. Now, we started the unit by writing some inequalities and just learning how, what those look like, what the symbols mean. Now we're going to be taking, mathematical sentences or phrases and writing those as inequalities. And this kind of sets us up for like word problems that we might do in the future that use an inequality. And in this one, we're just looking at taking the specific math phrase or sentence and turning that into an inequality and making sure we know how to write that with the correct symbols. So let's look at the first one here, A. A says a number C plus 9.4 is greater than or equal to negative 6. Okay, so we can just kind of read it straight from left to right and see what we have. So we start with a number C. So we write C. And then plus, okay, plus is one of our mathematical operation words. And what operation is that? That's addition. So C plus 9.4 is greater than or equal to, okay, so greater than or equal to, what does that symbol look like? That's where the mouth is open to the left. Okay, so C plus 9.4 is greater than or equal to, and don't forget your or equal to line down here, greater than or equal to, is greater than or equal to negative 6. And that's what we do here. So you can see how I just read it from left to right, and then wrote it with the variables, the numbers, and the symbols. It's kind of like you're translating a sentence, okay, from what's here in English, okay, to a full English sentence, to what's here in more mathematical symbols. Let's look at B. B says 6 is greater than a number P minus 8. Okay, so again, let's just go left to right. We'll start with 6. Okay, so 6 is greater than, okay, so this one just says greater than. It doesn't say greater than or equal to, so I'm just going to use the greater than symbol. A number P minus, so minus is the subtraction word, 8. 6 is greater than P minus 8. So you can see I'm just taking the words in the sentence and converting them into the operation symbols. All right, last one, C. 10 is no more than the sum of 3 times a number and 4. Okay? So we start with 10 is no more than, okay, well that one's a little bit different. It doesn't say greater than or less than. What does that mean? Is no more than. Well, if you think about that, it's no more than something. That means it's not going to be bigger than that, right? 10 is no more than. So it's going to be smaller than whatever it is you're talking about. So if 10 is no more than, then that is less than. But it could also be equal to, right? Because it's just saying it's not bigger than what's ever on the other side of this. Okay? So when it says no more than, that's talking about less than or equal to. So it's just a different words that we use for the same phrase. So 10 is no more than, it's less than or equal to. Okay? It's not going to be bigger. It can be smaller, it could be equal to, but it's not going to be bigger. 10 is no more than the sum. Okay? The sum. Now, it says sum right there, but does that mean we're going to put a plus sign right here? No, right? A plus sign is always in the middle between something, so we need to read the whole thing first. So just because it says sum next doesn't mean that it's going to go right next. 3 times a number, so the sum of 3 times a number, we can just call that number x, right? If it's a number is a variable, okay, if we don't know what the number is, we just call it a variable. So 3 times number x, a number we write times, just with a number and a variable together, and 4. Okay? So the sum of 3 times a number and 4. So I'm going to put my plus sign here because it's talking about the sum of 3 times a number and 4. So you're adding 3x plus 4. So this is 10 is no more than the sum of 3x plus 4. The sum of 3x and a number 4. Or 3 times a number and 4. So that's what that one would look like. So just be careful, no more than means less than or equal to. So if it says 10 is no more than, it's 10 is less than or equal to, and then this is the sum of 3 times the number and 4, 3x plus 4. So that's basically all you're doing in terms of writing those inequalities, is just making sure you can translate from the words to the mathematical symbols. And that's what we've been learning this unit, is really how to think about and understand these inequalities, and how do we write them in words, how do we write them using algebra, and how do we write them in terms of a graph. They're all saying the same thing. They're all saying the same thing, just in different forms, which is a really common thing in math, is representing the same thing in different forms depending on what you need it to do. So let's fill out this table real quick, just to make sure that we understand that all these things are saying the same thing, just in different forms. So this first line says x is less than 2. So what does that look like in the algebra? What does that look like with symbols? X is less than 2, right? That's what that looks like. And then we know that our graph would be like this. It would have an open circle at 2, and then an arrow going to the left. That's what x less than 2 looks like. So you can see that all of these are saying the same thing, just in different forms. And the next one says x is greater than 2. That's what we see in the algebra here. Hey, x is greater than 2. So if I write that out in words, x is greater than 2. Okay? X is greater than 2. And then if I were to graph that, we know how to graph that. And draw my number line here. I can put 2 in the middle, 3, 4, 5, just copying from the number line above. And then x is greater than 2, so it's an open circle at 2. But then I have an arrow going to the right. Okay? So that's what x is greater than 2 looks like on the graph. The next one, we have this in algebra, x is less than or equal to 2. And that's what the graph is showing, a closed dot at 2, arrow going to the left. So what is that in words? X is less than or equal to 2. All right, because remember that's what this symbol means, less than or equal to. So this is what it would look like in words, looks like in algebra symbols, and as a graph. And last one, x is greater than or equal to 2. It would look like this, greater than or equal to 2. That's how I would write that with that symbol, x is greater than or equal to 2. So hopefully you're walking away with this unit with making sure you know what all of these symbols mean, and how to graph them and how to write them, right? That's what we want to walk away with in terms of our skills. And solving is, we use all of this in solving, making sure we can understand what it's saying and then how to graph it. Okay, so let's practice with this a little bit.